Sup everybody, it's Vin. We're back from MAGWest 2025, or MAGWest VII. MAGWest is the West Coast offshoot of MAGFest, the long-standing music and gaming festival on the East Coast. I've been enjoying MAGWest. This was my 5th time. It's cozier, it's smaller scale. The programming is varied, and in a manner of speaking, it feels more grassroots. It has local sponsors, and I just love hanging out with the homies, playing arcade games, listening to some banger arrangements of video game music, and hitting up some of the panels. So as I like to do, I wanted to share some sights and sounds from the floor, and hopefully it'll drum up some interest in MAGWest, as I do think the event is worth checking out. So this year leans super heavily into Final Fantasy VII as its theming. They didn't really say as much, but if your event has 7 in the title, you may as well feature one of the most prominent games with 7 in the title, particularly when that game has an ongoing remake series and some legendary tunes. My day one was abbreviated as I was late. I had a tiny bit of FOMO, but eventually I did make it to the con by 5 PM. Everything is relatively close together on these 2 floors. I got my badge, chatted it up with some friends, and then it was dinner time. I shared some calamari in this poke tower, which were both quite tasty. My salmon burger was annihilated, as you can see. I don't really know why mine was toast and my friend's was left intact. Maybe they were telling me something, but regardless, the burger was quite nice. We attended the Super Soul Bros set. They led off with an arrange of the Super Mario Kart Battle Mode theme. And then it was Mega Ran, the renowned rapper himself, with Super Soul Bros assisting. I've always loved Mega Ran, and to this day, I always think of his River City Ransom rap. But the big surprise is John B, who voices Barrett in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. He showed up to drive some hype. And yeah, it was just a really cool set all around. And I got a clip right here.
Street smart and miracles, rapping critics hysterical, living life empirical, risking all. The outcome was bound to be terrible. That ain't bragging about doing stuff we accomplished a year ago. There's a lot like you can't argue with an idiot. He'll drag you to his level and beat you down with experience. Mount mannered teacher in his peace when I meet ya. Cats think it's sweet till they ask him to. We momentarily walked around the arcade, played some poppin' music and Third Strike before we went upstairs to watch some MAGFAST. And from my understanding, this was the first year FAST was at MAGWest. I guess they sort of called it what was it? MAGWest was like the portmanteau thereof. They're playing some Mega Man X4. I've done it plenty of times, so I was pretty familiar with the patterns and boss weaknesses. So I got a kick out of how they blitz through the bosses as X. It was a fun run to watch. I think it was sub 50 minutes. I think it was pretty straightforward, pretty quick. Day 2 rolls around, and of course Saturday's the biggest day. We had this breakfast buffet at the hotel, and so I do apologize for the lack of upcoming relevant slides, so you'll have to stare at this breakfast for a hot minute, so whoops. The first thing I did was to spectate some of the co-op choir. They were preparing for the performance later in the day. I'm not really a singer, but I wanted to see what it was like. But the main takeaway is that the conductor did say that there are more lyrics to One Winged Angel than just Sephiroth, which I thought was pretty funny. It also turns out the conductor was into older fighting games. They made a reference to how there was a tournament once upon a time with Milpitas Golfland on one side and Sunnyvale Golfland on the other. So I guess they were connected with the fact that the crowd was divided by rules. It bamboozled me since I had just returned from EVO, so I had fighting games on the brain. I felt like I was just taking up space, so I skedaddled and skipped out of the room. I perused the dealer's room. I had just been recovering from recent adventures, so I couldn't quite spend that much, but I definitely noticed plenty of things to buy. There were some cool artists with enamel pins, there was a decent video game selection, but as with anything nowadays, anything released around 20 years ago tends to cost a pretty penny, especially JRPGs on the on the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS. Dragon Quest V DS was like $160 or something, which is like objectively crazy. I think Dragon Quest IV was maybe half of that. But the one fun thing I did learn was that Rock and Roll Racing was published by Namco in Japan. There's a giant Namcot on the top of the box, so I thought that was pretty funny. It was around this time when I saw someone with a hitbox sling, so I had a chitty chat. I guess I wasn't the only one with a back-to-back Evo and MAGWest experience. They were off to play Street Fighter 6 at the tourney, but I didn't quite get to spectate that one. I played some indies though. I tried Price of Flight. You might know me for being cat crazy, but I have a huge fondness for birds, and this game has them in spades. The most notable feature is a zany genre hybridization. It has overworld navigation akin to that of a JRPG. You chat with a bunch of characters in a surreal game show-like setting. Sometimes you can't even understand what they're saying, which is pretty gnarly. There's a mix of disjointed genres. There's board game-like navigation, and even top-down flight too that seems somewhat reminiscent of a shoot-'em-up. I also stopped by Remote Not Disaster Studio. They had 2 games on display. They had Catfished. It's a visual novel with really over-the-top shenanigans, but it has an all too familiar VTuber setting. There's a crazy chat on the right as the VTubers talking to you in the main window. The choices lead to some drastically different outcomes. I got an ending where I was bamboozled pretty hard. They also had Angelware. It's a zany file management themed game. You're dragging files to their respective folders, but there's some crazy distractions that block your vision, and easy to pick up, but definitely quite entertaining. We also tried 3 Bulky Bears. It's a platformer with a tag mechanic between bears with distinct physics. So the interesting things that you can tag out in the middle, you can switch out in the middle of your jump and like adjust your jump trajectory. But yeah, pretty amusing sort of take on established platformer ideas. And special shout outs to D-Beat Heroes. They're the developer's a cool friend and an all-around awesome developer, and definitely well versed in the music game community. So special shout out to DB Heroes. They're very cool. It was back to the arcade per usual, but this year marked a return of pinball for the first time in, I think, since the inception of MAGWest. I think that's what they were saying. I love pinball, but I wouldn't say I'm particularly proficient at keeping the ball in play, but I saw my favorite attack on Mars, so I had to give it a go. I kind of got washed really fast. I also went to play some Pump It Up Phoenix. It's a fun 5-panel dancing game, as you may know. I got an UGG. I think it's Ultimate Game. I think you get it for not missing a single note. The cabinet requested we keep it to 3 songs, so I was on my merry way. But I did really enjoy that set. I stepped out really quick to see even more cabinets. There was Marvel's Capcom 2 and Guys, and they also had Capcom vs SNK 2 and Magical Drop 3. Plenty of CVS2 rep at MAGWest, and Guys is really busted. I essentially hardly ever played it. I think I played the arcade version at Caesar's Palace once in early mid-2000s or something, but I never played the PlayStation version. This game makes 0 sense. It's freeform, it's sloppy, it's reckless fun. I played this dog named Django, and for whatever reason, his special button fires homing projectiles when you hold it all the way down, which is ridiculous in a fighting game. I have no clue why that's there, so that was pretty amusing. It's sort of a lunch tradition to go to Salmon Curry, which is an Indian-inspired restaurant. I got my usual chicken tikka burrito. It's really good, and I also just really like the decor. It's all around expressive and fun. We stopped by the Maids panel really quick. They're about restoring older game hardware, and the Maid itself is a digital museum out in Oakland, and they really have an attention to detail. They're all about restoring hardware, so it's pretty cool getting a bit of a glimpse into their sort of process. And of course, they also let you donate, and I definitely have to go back there one of these days. It's been way too long. But we had to skedaddle and go places. I spectated the cosplay contest for a bit. I really liked this Militic cosplay. The posing was really neat and cool.
And there was also Sir Aaron himself from the Pokemon movie, was Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. I wasn't quite expecting this rep. It was pretty cool to see. And there were also these Final Fantasy XIV cosplayers with their twirling cloth. I don't really know 14 particularly well, but I definitely admire the handicraft. But I actually wasn't able to catch the winners or anything. I had to go line up for the virtual video game orchestra and co-op choir performance. I had spectated the co-op choir earlier in the day, and I loved hearing everyone perform these Final Fantasy VII arrangements. The only things that perhaps there wasn't really the most space for spectators. You could kind of see we're squished on both sides of the room here. But yeah, we have some arrangements. It was on to cosplay and draw, which started right after the orchestra finished. Per its name, cosplayers volunteer, and the crowd draws them with in 3 to 5 minute poses. I have some drawings based here. I have some drawings here based on the 9 cosplayers that we saw. I appreciated the variety of poses and props. And but once again, we had the peace out early. We didn't quite get to catch the end of it because there was another thing about the start. There was another panel, one of my personal highlights in all of MAGWest, behind the mic, Final Fantasy VII's iconic voices. It was hosted by the Final Fantasy Files. Some of the voice cast behind Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth were here. This was a really inspirational, insightful panel. The panelists replayed some key scenes from the games. It was pretty funny, once again, seeing Roche go wild on his bike. But the VOs in general gave some insights into their process, fighting the feeling of imposter syndrome, and they thanked all the support from the fans and their directors and engineers along the way. And they just seemed like genuine people. They seemed really nice. They remarked on how they generally don't get the chance to improvise too much, but Austin, who voices Roche, did get to do some shenanigans during the parade sequence, which you get to hear if you fail out, which I didn't know about, so that was kind of a funny revelation there. Yeah, just what a fantastic panel. Shortly thereafter, we had to go get some dinner, so it was on to slice pizza. We got this chicken bacon ranch pizza, and it was really tasty. And shortly thereafter, we had a little friend hang out. We shared one of the soul candy tins all the way from Japan from the Bleach pop-up store. And these little tangerine candies were pretty good. They weren't too sour. I wasn't quite sure how much spiritual energy I was ingesting or if my soul's gonna pop out. But yeah, soul candy, pretty good. I really wanted to check out Powerglove. I remember them from about 2010 when they were touring with Sonata Arctica. I guess incidentally they're touring with them again. But anyway, they're known for metal. They're known for video game covers. They played some Final Fantasy IV tracks, which was pretty cool. And the tracks from 4 are still some of my favorites in the whole series to this day. And I really like this last battle arrange. It's day 3. We had a similar breakfast buffet as the day prior. As with the last day of any convention, this is a bit of an abbreviated experience, but there's still plenty of fun to be had. Coincidentally, the drag drive test drive was also this weekend, so we had a bit of a local party. We were doing the tutorial, we did some friend lobby matches. We're breaking the time stream here. I'm recording this about a week after the game came out, so I'll guess I could just say this, but this test drive was perfectly fine. It was sufficiently amusing enough for me to buy the whole game for the heck of it. Unbeknownst to me, we pretty much experienced the meat of the game with this test drive. The game itself might be worth your $20 if you're into gimmickry, but it's kind of hard to really openly recommend this game just to anybody. It's definitely a bit of a struggle to get used to the controls, which is kind of on Nintendo in some ways, but it's still amusing enough for what it is. Definitely bring a lap desk if you want to give it a shot. I don't really recommend dragging those Joy-Cons on your legs. I mean, I think they say you could do that, but I wouldn't really recommend it. There was a little panel. Oh, this is my my character during the test drive. Kind of funny customizations. There's just not that much to unlock is the thing too in the full game, so it's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, we were on to a little panel named Pokemon Film Review Hour. It's about ranking the Pokemon movies, and to be honest with you, I think I've seen about maybe 2/3 of the movies. This panel is extremely irreverent and off the chain, but I guess that's kind of apt since these movies are pretty silly. I did like this Shaman rep right here since Shaman's my favorite. Though the movie is I've watched a movie a bunch of times, but it's not exactly the paragon of excellent writing or anything like that. It's perfectly fine. Sunday, cool off on performances, but the key performers were the Keyblades. They're a band that had some pretty impressive RPG arrangements, particularly for a band that's pretty new. I really enjoyed their take on Escape from the City and NieR's Weight of the World. But they had a whole slew of JRPG tracks as well, like Final Fantasy X-2's Real Emotion, and here are some of those clips right there.
find my soul, and the sky, it looks so ominous. And as time comes to a halt, silence starts to overflow. My cries are inconspicuous. Tell me, God, are you punishing me? Is this the price I'm paying for my past mistakes? This is my redemption song. I need you more than ever right now. Can you hear me now? 'Cause we're gonna shout it loud. Even if our words seem meaningless, it's like I'm carrying the weight of the world. I wish that someday, somehow, that I could save every one of us. But the truth is that I'm only one girl. Maybe if I keep believing, my dreams will come to life. Come to life.
There are a lot of collaborative drawings on the table mats downstairs. And I liked seeing this cactuar. And all sorts of friends here too. MAGWest has been a hub for classic fighting game tournaments for a while now. I really enjoy spectating the tournaments that Riz1 and crew put on. They usually have some pretty baller production as well, and they do classic fighting game tournaments on Twitch all the time too. But this year had Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and Capcom versus SNK 2. Which of course are some of the most renowned 2D fighting games of all time. And this year did have Boss coming out, hot off of his win from EVO 2025 with Capcom versus SNK 2. We spectated a bit of the CVS2 tournament with all those close matches, but this game is kind of notorious for taking a while to finish. It's my favorite fighting game, but tournaments do drag on a bit. So we didn't quite stick around the whole time, but I'm so glad we got to watch some of that CVS2 right here. We sat down for closing ceremonies a bit early, but then the 8-bit brass band crashed the stage with a little mashup of I Will Survive and Gerudo Valley from Zelda, and I got this cool sticker too. During closing ceremonies, there was a cool surprise hug from some of the Final Fantasy VII Remake voice crew. And yeah, the Q&A session was definitely heartfelt. Everyone really appreciated what the MAGWest staff accomplished this whole weekend. It was just such a fun time. And shortly thereafter, we got a pretty tasty burger from Dough Burger. And yeah, man, that was our MAGWest. We did a tiny bit of LAN. We played some Halo and Quake 3. I fumbled around and with Command & Conquer's controls and forgot how to deploy my base. I always appreciate LAN spaces, as those don't really exist too much nowadays. But yeah, MAGWest is a fun event. I'm hoping to hit it up again next year. We'll see where things go scheduling wise. We didn't necessarily do every single thing at the event, but yeah, what we did do was really fun. I'm really curious about the theming for next year. My prediction is that it's gonna be Mario Kart 8 themed if you want to go by sheer numerical relevance, since that's arguably like the biggest game with 8 in the title, but I guess they could do anything really. It doesn't really matter. Though we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really hyped to see where the convention goes. So for now, that's gonna do it for me. I'll see you guys on the next one, and take it easy. Thanks a bunch.